Hello, Pizza Packs here, and we're back with our commander decks from Tarkir Dragonstorm. So let's get started. Now there are 5 decks with this, and they do come with collector booster sample packs. So we will have 6 videos of these. So we have Sultai, Jeskai, Abzan, Mardu, and Teamer, aka the 5 decks for this set. So we're going to start with Mardu. Why? Because that was the first one I picked. Okay. Let's do switch document cam. Hey. Do color balance. This thing always wants to be off for whatever reason. And let's get started. Be the Raging Storm. I don't know why that reminds me of Mulan for some reason. We've got our collector booster sample pack. I have a whole video with all 20 of those. Okay. All right. This time we have a little pamphlet that folds out into a bio on Zergo Stormrender and Nariv Crackling Vanguard, our 2 face commanders. We have a tuck box that is themed this time. It's always good. Better when they don't cheap out on those. We have a fold flat. Oh, well that's interesting. We're down to just 6 counters now. Really minimal packaging this time around. Which is in some ways good, and in others just a sign of how things have been getting cheaper and cheaper to produce and more expensive to buy. Oh well. So let's start off with our face commander, Zergo Stormrender. Red, white, black for 3/3 legendary orc warrior. With mobilize 1. Whenever this creature attacks, create a tapped and attacking 1/1 red warrior creature token. Sacrifice it at the beginning of the next end step. Whenever a creature token you control leaves the battlefield, draw a card if it was attacking. Otherwise, each opponent loses 1 life. That's pretty snazzy. Nariv Crackling Vanguard. 2 red, white, black for a 4/4 legendary spirit dragon with flying and death touch. When it enters, create 2 1/1 red goblin creature tokens. Whenever Nariv attacks, exile a number of cards from the top of your library equal to the number of differently named tokens you control. During any turn you attacked with a commander, you may play those cards. Interesting. Einok Strike Leader. 1 and a white for a 2/2 dog warrior. Whenever you attack with this creature and or your commander, for each opponent, create a 1/1 red goblin creature token that's tapped and attacking that player. Sacrifice this creature. Creature tokens you control gain indestructible until end of turn. Okay, that's an interesting one. There we go. Ironwill Forger. 3 and a white for a 3/3 Orc Artificer with Lieutenant. At the beginning of your combat on your turn, if you control your commander, target non-legendary creature you control gains Myriad until end of turn. Whenever it attacks for each opponent other than the defending player, you may create a token copy that's tapped and attacking that player or a planeswalker they control. Exile the tokens at end of combat. That's interesting. Being able to pass around Myriad is very interesting. Will of the Mardu, 2 and a white instant. Choose one. If you control a commander, when you cast a spell, you may choose both instead. Create a number of 1/1 red warrior creature tokens equal to the number of creatures target player controls. Will of the Mardu deals damage to target creature equal to the number of creatures you control. Okay. Interesting catch-up mechanic there. Bone Devourer, 3 and a black for a 2/2 dragon, flash, flying. This creature enters with a number of +1/+1 counters on it equal to the number of creatures that died this turn. When this creature dies, you draw X cards and lose X life, where X is the number of +1/+1 counters on it. It's pretty good. Within range, 3 and a black enchantment. When this enchantment enters, create 2 1/1 red warrior creature tokens. Whenever you attack, each opponent loses life equal to the number of creatures attacking them. Okay, that's pretty solid. Goldlust Triad. 4 and a red for a 4/3 dragon with flying and myriad. Whenever this creature deals combat damage to a player, create a treasure token. Okay. Infantry Shield. 2 and a red for an artifact equipment. Equipped creature has Menace and Mobilize X, where X is its power. Equip 2. Okay. Redoubled Stormsinger. 2 and a red for a 3/3 orc wizard with first strike. Whenever this creature attacks, for each creature token you control that entered this turn, create a tapped and attacking token that's a copy of that token. At the beginning of the next end step, sacrifice those tokens. Okay. That has some interesting implications. Adeline, Resplendent Cathar. A absolute staple when it was in standard. 2 white for an X4 legendary human knight with vigilance. Its power is equal to the number of creatures you control. Whenever you attack, for each opponent, create a 1/1 white human creature token that's tapped and attacking that planeswalker or that player or a planeswalker they control. Angel of Invention. 3 white for a 2/1 angel with flying, vigilance, and lifelink, and fabricate 2. When this creature enters, put 2 +1/+1 counters on it, or create 2 1/1 colorless servo artifact creature tokens. Other creatures you control get +1/+1. Commander's Insignia. 2 white enchantment. Creatures you control get +1/+1 for each time you've cast your commander from the command zone this game. So it's interesting that it doesn't have you track experience counters for that. Divine Visitation. 3 white enchantment. If 1 or more creature tokens would be created under your control, that many 4/4 white angel creature tokens with flying and vigilance are created instead. Interesting. There's a lot of really cool combos with that too. Emiria Angel. 2 white for a 3/3 angel with flying and landfall. Whenever a land you control enters, you may create a 1/1 white bird creature token with flying. Funny thing about this plus Ashaya, I think it is, the green legendary that turns your creatures into lands, just goes infinite. Grand Crescendo. X white instant. Create X 1/1 green and white creature token, or citizen creature tokens. Creatures you control gain indestructible until end of turn. Not bad. Good reprint too. Hero of Bladehold. I remember this one from standard. 2 white for a 3/4 human knight with battle cry. Whenever this creature attacks, each other attacking creature gets +1/+0 until end of turn. Keep in mind it's +1/+0. A lot of people make the mistake of thinking it's +1/+1. Whenever this creature attacks, create 2 1/1 white soldier creature tokens that are tapped and attacking. So, keep in mind the battle cry does apply to the tokens as long as you stack it correctly. Hour of Reckoning, 4 white sorcery. Convoke. Your creatures can help you cast a spell. Each creature you tap while casting the spell pays for 1 or 1 mana of that creature's color. Destroy all non-token creatures. This was really, really strong in Ravnica when it was originally printed. Still very good. Legion Loyalty, 6 white enchantment. Creatures you control have myriad. Not bad. Little pricey, but not a bad card. Selfless Spirit, 1 and a white for a 2/1 Spirit Cleric with flying. Sacrifice this creature. Creatures you control gain indestructible until end of turn. Sun Titan. These two play really well together too. 4 white for a 6/6 giant with vigilance. Whenever this creature enters or attacks, you may return target permanent card with mana value 3 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. Takatsia's Welcome. 2 and a white for an enchantment. Whenever 1 or more creatures you control with mana value 3 or less enter, draw a card. This ability triggers only once each turn. Twilight Drover. 2 and a white for a 1/1 spirit. Whenever a creature token leaves the battlefield, put a +1/+1 counter on this creature. 2 and a white, remove a +1/+1 counter from this creature. Create 2 1/1 white spirit creature tokens with flying. Funny enough, if you have a Phyrexian altar and an Ashnod's altar, you can create and sacrifice infinite tokens with this. A lot of people don't notice that. Chittering Witch, 3 and a black for a 2/2 human warlock. When this creature enters, create a number of 1/1 black rat creature tokens equal to the number of opponents you have. 1 and a black, sacrifice a creature. Target creature gets -2/-2 until end of turn. Eliminate the Competition. 4 and a black, sorcery. As an additional cost to cast this spell, sacrifice X creatures. Destroy X target creatures. Gix, Yawgmoth Preorder. Oddly enough, this is currently standard legal. 1 black for a 3/3 Phyrexian Preorder. Whenever a creature deals combat damage to one of your opponents, its controller may pay 1 life. If they do, they draw a card. 4 black, discard X cards. Exile the top X cards of target opponent's library. You may play lands and cast spells from among the cards exiled this way without paying their mana costs. Mindblade Render. 1 and a black for a 1/3 Azra Warrior. Whenever your opponents are dealt combat damage, if any of that damage was dealt by a warrior, you draw a card and lose 1 life. Very nice. Ophiomancer. 2 and a black for a 2/2 human shaman. At the beginning of each upkeep, if you control no snakes, create a 1/1 black snake creature token with Death Touch. Nice. Just a repeatable, sackable token. Yeheni, Undying Partisan. 2 and a black for a 2/2 legendary Aetherborn Vampire with haste. Whenever a creature an opponent controls dies, put a +1/+1 counter on Yeheni. Sacrifice another creature. Yeheni gains indestructible until end of turn. Grenzo, Havoc Razor. Red for a 2/2 legendary Goblin Rogue. Whenever a creature you control deals combat damage to a player, choose 1. Goad target creature that player controls, or exile the top card of that player's library. Until end of turn, you may cast that spell, and you may spend mana or mana of any color to cast that spell. Legion Warboss. 2 and a red for a 2/2 Goblin Soldier with Mentor. Whenever this creature attacks, put a +1/+1 counter on target attacking creature with lesser power. At the beginning of combat on your turn, create a 1/1 red goblin creature token That token gains haste until end of turn and attacks that combat if able. Or this combat if able. Ogre Battle Driver. 2 red for a 3/3 Ogre Warrior. Whenever another creature you control enters, that creature gets +2/+0 and gains haste until end of turn. Siege Gang Commander. 3 red for a 2/2 Goblin. When this creature enters, create 3 1/1 red Goblin creature tokens. 1 in a red, sacrifice a Goblin. This creature deals 2 damage to any target. Still just one of the best goblins ever printed. Tempt with Vengeance. X in a red, sorcery. Tempting Offer. Create X 1/1 red elemental creature tokens with haste. Each opponent may create X 1/1 red elemental creature tokens with haste. For each opponent who does, create X 1/1 red elemental creature tokens with haste. Most of the time it's a fireball with extra steps. It depends. Sometimes it's not. Kaya Geist Hunter. 1 white for a 3 loyalty legendary planeswalker Kaya. +1 creatures you control gain Death Touch until end of turn. Put a +1/+1 counter on up to 1 target creature token you control. -2 until end of turn if 1 or more tokens would be created under your control. Twice that many of those tokens are created instead. -6. Exile all cards from all graveyards, then create a 1/1 white spirit creature token with flying for each card exiled this way. Blade of Selves. 2 mana artifact equipment. Equipped creature has Myriad. Equip 4. Very nice. Idol of Oblivion. 2 mana artifact. Tap, draw a card. Activate only if you created a token this turn. 8. Tap, sacrifice this artifact. Create a 10/10 colorless Eldrazi creature token. Mirror Battlesphere. 7 mana for a 4/7 artifact creature Mirror Construct. When this creature enters, create 4 1/1 colorless mirror artifact creature tokens. Whenever this creature attacks, you may tap X untapped mirror you control. If you do, this creature gets +X/+X until end of turn and deals X damage to the player or planeswalker it's attacking. Solemn Simulacrum. 4 mana for a 2/2 artifact creature Golem. When this creature enters, you may search your library for a basic land, put it onto the battlefield, tap, then shuffle. When it dies, you may draw a card. Still doing work ever since Mirrodin. Battlefield Forge, one of the Pain lands currently legal in Standard. Taps for a colorless, and taps for a red or a white, and deals 1 damage to you. Canyon Slough is a swamp mountain that enters tapped and cycles for 2, which means it is also searchable. Castle Ardenvale. Enters tapped unless you control a plains. Tap, add a white, and then 2 white tap, create a 1/1 white human creature token. Castle Embereth. Enters tapped unless you control a mountain. Taps for a red, and then 1 red tap, creatures you control get +1/+0 until end of turn. Caves of Koilos, another one of the Pain lands. Taps for a colorless, and then taps for a white or a black, and deals 1 damage to you. Clifftop Retreat, one of the buddy lands, or one of the fast lands rather. Enters tapped unless you control a mountain or a plains, and then taps for a red or a white. Dragon Skull Summit, same but for black and red. Exotic Orchard, land that taps to add 1 mana of any color a land an opponent controls could produce. Fetid Heath. I really wish they would swap these with what's it called? Reflecting Pool. Bring down the price of Reflecting Pool a little bit. Fetid Heath. Taps for a colorless and then can filter a white or a black into any combination of 2 white or black. So white, black, or black. Isolated Chapel. Enters tapped unless you control a plains or a swamp, and then taps for a white or a black. Shattered Sanctum. Enters tapped unless you control two or unless you control two or more other lands. I thought Shattered Sanctum was the other way around. No, it's the opposite of the fast lands, that's right. Enters tapped unless you control two or more other lands, and then taps for a white or a black. Smoldering Marsh. It's a swamp mountain that enters tapped unless you control two or more basic lands. It's the Tango land. Temple of Silence. Enters tapped. When it enters, you scry one, and then taps for a white or a black. Temple of Triumph. Same, but for red and white. Vault of the Archangel. Ooh, that's a good reprint. Taps for colorless, and then 2 white-black tap. Creatures you control gain Death Touch and Lifelink until end of turn. Very nice. And a much-needed reprint. Windbrisk Heights. Hideaway 4. When this land enters, look at the top 4 cards of your library, exile 1 face down, and then put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. Enters tapped, taps for a white, and then for a white and tap, you may play the exiled card without paying its mana cost if you attacked with 3 or more creatures this turn. Shadow Summoning. White, black sorcery. Create 2 tapped 1/1 white spirit creature tokens with flying. Nice. Lightning Greaves. 2 mana artifact equipment. Equipped creature is Haste and Shroud. Equip 0. Skull Clamp. Ooh. Nice to see Skull Clamp getting a reprint. 1 mana artifact equipment. Equipped creature gets +1/-1. Whenever equipped creature dies, draw 2 cards. Equip 1. Kind of a auto-include in any token strategy where you want to draw a bunch of cards. Arcane Signet. 2 mana artifact. Taps for a mana of your commander's color identity. Soul Ring, we all know what this does, but it's a 1 mana artifact, taps for 2. Command Tower, another auto-include. It's a land that taps for 1 mana of any color of your commander's color identity. Gold Knight Commander, 3 and a white for a 2/2 human cleric soldier. Whenever another creature you control enters, creatures you control get +1/+1 until end of turn. Lingering Souls, such a great card. 2 and a white, sorcery. Create 2 1/1 white spirit creature tokens with flying, and then flashback for 1 and a black. You may cast this card from your graveyard for its flashback cost, then exile it. Release the Dogs. 3 and a white, sorcery. Create 4 1/1 white dog creature tokens. It's an interesting one. Stroke of Midnight. 2 and a white, instant. Destroy target non-land permanent. Its controller creates a 1/1 white human creature token. Swords to Plowshares. Best piece of removal ever printed. For white, it's an instant. Exile target creature. Its controller gains life equal to its power. Bastion of Remembrance. 2 and a black, enchantment. Whenever this enchantment enters, create a 1/1 white human soldier creature token. Whenever a creature you control dies, each opponent loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. Bitter Triumph. 1 and a black, instant. As an additional cost to cast a spell, discard a card or pay 3 life. Destroy target creature or planeswalker. Deadly Dispute. Recently banned in Pauper, unfortunately. 1 and a black, instant. As an additional cost to cast a spell, sacrifice an artifact or creature. Draw 2 cards and create its treasure token. Morbid Opportunist. 2 and a black for a 1/3 human rogue. Whenever 1 or more other creatures die, draw a card. This ability only triggers once each turn. Viscera Seer. Black for a 1/1 vampire wizard. Wait, 1/1? I thought Viscera Seer was a 0/1. Huh. Viscera Seer. Black for a 1/1 vampire wizard. Sacrifice a creature, scry 1. Unless that's a misprint. I don't think it is, but I must have misremembered Viscera Seer. A Braid. 1 and a red, instant. Choose 1. Deal 3 damage to target creature or destroy target artifact. Still going strong. Beetleback Chief. 2 red for a 2/2 goblin warrior. When it enters, create 2 1/1 red goblin creature tokens. Loyal Apprentice. 1 and a red for a 2/1 human artificer with haste. And Lieutenant. At the beginning of combat on your turn, if you control your commander, create a 1/1 colorless Thopter artifact creature token with flying. That token gains haste until end of turn. Nomad Outpost from the main set. It's a land that enters tapped and taps for red, white, or black. Aaron, Benolia's Ruin. White, white, black for a 3/3 legendary Phyrexian human with menace. And then white, black, tap. Target, sacrifice another creature. Put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control. That is an interesting one. Thalise, Reverent Medium. Yeah, Thalise or Thalisi. I don't know. 3 white black for a 3/4 legendary human cleric. At the beginning of each end step, create X 1/1 white spirit creature tokens with flying, where X is the number of tokens you created this turn. That's pretty nutty, especially if you make arbitrarily large amounts of tokens with Twilight Shepherd earlier. Belwar Stone. 2 mana artifact, taps for a colorless, or taps for 1 mana of any color and a land an opponent controls could produce. This can never tap for a colorless. I always have to remind myself of that. Talisman of Conviction. 2 mana artifact, taps for colorless, and taps for a red or a white and deals 1 damage to you. So it's a pain land as a mana rock. Talisman of Hierarchy, same but for white black. Wayfarer's Bauble. 1 mana artifact, 2 tap, sacrifice this artifact, search your library for a basic land, put it into the battlefield tapped, then shuffle. Bajuka Bog, one of the best utility lands ever printed. It's a land that enters tapped, and when it enters, exile target player's graveyard. Taps for a black. Path of Ancestry, enters tapped, tap, add 1 mana of any color to in your commander's color identity. When that mana is spent to cast a creature spell that shares a creature type with your commander, scry 1. That is always a mouthful. Shattered Landscape. Tap for a colorless, and then tap, sacrifice this land. Search your library for a mountain, plains, or a basic mountain, plains, or swamp. Put it on the battlefield tap, then shuffle, and then it cycles for a red, white, or black. This was recently printed in Modern Horizons 3. Terramorphic Expanse. Tap and sacrifice. Search for a basic, put it on the battlefield tap, then shuffle. And now we have our basics of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 plains. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 swamps. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 mountains. Then for our tokens, we have a treasure token. That is also a spirit token. A goblin token. It's a soldier token. Human token with a rat on the back. Angel token with flying and vigilance. The spirit with flying on the back. Bird with flying. Thopter with flying on the back. Snake with death touch. A mirror. A 1/1 mirror on the back. A 1/1 dog with a 1/1 goblin on the back. 10/10 Eldrazi with a 1/1 green-white citizen on the back. A 1/1 red warrior with a 1/1 servo on the back. And then another 1/1 warrior with a 1/1 haste elemental on the back. Then we have a turn order reminder and a popular formats card. Very nice. Alright, that was Mardu Surge. Thank you for joining me on this adventure. As always, don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff for the algorithm. It really helps us out, and I really appreciate it. And until next time, stay awesome. We'll see you in the next one. Thanks. Bye.